All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus Show. I am Lupagus, and today we're going to talk about 5 Minnesota Vikings who have to step up in a major way. The Minnesota Vikings are actually going to make the playoffs. These aren't just talking about guys who've been bad, like Oli Udo. I mean, one guy is bad, but certain players, and some of these are star players, have to take their game to the next level if this is going to happen. The Vikings are going to miraculously win 3 of the next 4 and squeak into the playoffs. These guys have to ball out. Before we get into the list, I remember this video is brought to you by WinView Games, the nation's sports prediction leader and home for Minnesota Vikings pregame and live prop contests. We all live and breathe Minnesota Viking football. Put your knowledge to the test in free or real money contests against other Vikings fanatics. New contest every single week. It's risk free. They are matching the first $100. The link will be in the description. Check her out, WinView Games. I know it's the app for you guys, and I did that without even looking. All right, 5 Minnesota Vikings who have to step up their game. The Vikings are going to make the playoffs. Let's start with the one that is obvious. He's been horseshit, but he's got to play better. If the Vikings are going to make the playoffs, this guy has to perform as Bashaud Breeland. He was bad, but then when he was off the field and Chris Boyd came in, we actually saw that things can actually get worse. Chris Boyd was even worse than Bashaud Breeland, but Breeland has to be better. He has to be better in coverage. He has to be better making tackles, and he has to, he's had a couple near miss interceptions. He's got to pull those down. He's got to haul in those passes. Those are game changers. We would have beat the Lions. We would have came down with that, and the Steelers game would have ended in much less not say heartbreaking, but heart attack inducing fashion if we would have made an interception instead of colliding with if it was Xavier Woods there. So Bashaud Breeland has to play better. Vikings are not going to win 3 of the next 4 if he continues to be a liability and teams continue to throw the ball at him because he can't stop anything. All right, the next guy who's got to step up his game if the Vikings are going to make the playoffs is defensive tackle Michael Pierce. We haven't seen much of him. He had a great first game against Cincinnati, 2 sacks, trading that interior pressure, and that's what we got to see. If the Vikings are going to make the playoffs, Michael Pierce has to be a dominating force, pushing the interior of opponents' defensive lines back into the quarterback's crotch, getting some sacks, and just destroying that whole thing up, stuff in the run game, plug in running lanes. That's what we brought him in here for. We let Linval Joseph go for this guy, and so far that looks like a horrible move. Michael Pierce has to show us that that was the right move, that was the right call, and he's got to step up his game, and he's got to play balls out. Otherwise, there's no way the Vikings are going to win 3 of the next 4. Another one, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins just can't have another performance like he had against the Steelers. Completing really only one big pass the second half. The third quarter especially was horrible. This guy's been money all season long. We cannot have him cool off right now. We can't have a cold Kirk Sember. It needs to be a hot Kirk Sember. We need the Kirk Cousins that we saw early in the season, driving the team down when they need him the most, whether that's kick the tying field goal, kick the winning field goal, score the winning touchdown. I want the Kirk Cousins that's going to say frick yeah every time he completes a pass. He's got to be money. And we've already seen him do it. So Kirk, just keep on doing this thing, and the Vikings may very well end up in the playoffs. But a couple more stinkers like you had against the Steelers, turn the ball over, that ain't going to fly. Kirk Cousins definitely has to ball out. The Vikings are going to make the playoffs. Next one, linebacker Anthony Barr. And Anthony Barr, it really makes you wonder why the Vikings even brought him back. A real lack of some big plays here. He did have an interception against the Ravens, but really, not doing a whole hell of a lot. So we need to see Anthony Barr get some pressure, get some sacks, create some big plays, tip the ball, force a fumble, just do what we brought you in here to do. And if the Vikings are going to win, especially being the Packers and the Rams, you're going to need to win the turnover battle. Anthony Barr is going to be a big part of that, just forcing the ball. And also, what he can do in coverage. Got some good pass catching backs coming up, especially look at the Packers with Aaron Jones. You definitely don't want him getting out in the flat. Barr's the guy who can cover that. Some tight ends coming up who can be dangerous. So Anthony Barr has to step up his game. Really look at his numbers: 4 tackles, 6. He had 110, 8, 9. So it does look like he has been kind of heating up here the last 3 games. That needs to continue. Anthony Barr has to play better. He has to make some big plays. He's got to make some game-changing plays on the field. Otherwise, this team is not going to go anywhere. And the last one. And Harrison Smith's been fine. I mean, he's quietly, I think he's quietly having not his best season, but he balled out against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Harrison Smith was an absolute animal, just really making plays all over the field. Kind of really being the Harrison Smith I think we thought we were all going to see this year. I just want to pull up his numbers here while I have them, but he had 5 tackles, tackle for a loss. He had the big quarterback hit, broke up a pass. I mean, Harrison Smith was in there dominating. He had the big sack. I mean, he was doing what we needed him to do, and we have to see him play like this the last 4 games. Every single game has to be like his performance against the Steelers, where it's Harrison Smith blitzing. He had that swatted ball, which I think still should have been a turnover there early in that game against the Steelers. He just hasn't made those plays this year, but if he can continue to do that and start doing it and really, really heat up and make some big plays, then the Vikings can, they can win 3 of the next 4, but he has to take charge. He has to be the leader in the secondary, and he's going to put it on his sexy ass shoulders to do it. And I think he can. So Harrison Smith, again, he's having a fine year, but he's got to take it to the next level if the Vikings are going to make the playoffs. So those are my 5. If you got more, drop those names in the comments. 5 guys who definitely need to just take their game to the next level if the Vikings are going to move on. So that's what I got for you guys today. I think as we get closer and closer to Christmas, we need to remember to keep our skull in our hole.